At first glance, Andre Rebello appeared handsome, a charm that might captivate some. But behind that seemingly innocent smile lurked a web of dark, deceptive secrets hidden from his wife and everyone around him. To the outside world, Andre seemed to have it all, yet the way he managed his wealth and reputation was reckless, even foolish beyond belief. And when his schemes began to unravel, he did not course correct. Instead, he descended deeper into the darkness he had created. He stooped to the lowest depths imaginable to escape the pit of his own making. Greetings. I'm Adrian. Welcome to Coffeehouse Crime, where today we unravel the disturbing saga of Andre Rebello. This is a story about shattered lives and the trail of destruction left in his wake. I post up to 2 videos weekly. If you haven't yet, consider subscribing to follow along. Now pour yourself a coffee. It's time to dive into the chilling case of Andre Rebello. The story begins here. On May 25, 2020, the Rebello family in Perth, Australia was shaken by devastating news. The family consisted of 58-year-old Colleen Rebello and her 4 adult children, Monique, Fabian, Julian, and Andre. 2 of the children had already left home, but Fabian, the youngest son, and Monique, the daughter, still lived under the same roof. That morning, Fabian and Monique were both out for most of the day. Fabian was working his shift at the local supermarket. Normally, Colleen would drive Fabian to work and pick him up afterwards. But when she failed to arrive at 2 p.m., Fabian felt a gnawing sense of dread. His repeated calls to his mother went unanswered, prompting him to head home on foot. Arriving at the front door, he heard the shower running inside the ensuite. After closing the door behind him, he called out to Colleen, seeking reassurance. Still no response came. Approaching the bathroom door, he knocked firmly, but silence greeted him. Faced with growing unease, he chose to enter. What he found was a nightmare no one wants to face. His mother lay slumped and motionless in the shower. Without hesitation, Fabian dialed emergency services. Desperately, he attempted CPR on the cold bathroom floor, but hope quickly faded. Colleen Rebello was dead. Paramedics arrived swiftly, confirming her passing despite their best efforts. She left behind grieving children, friends, and new colleagues. Though her death seemed natural at first, odd signs soon emerged, hinting that the truth was far more sinister. Before uncovering the how and why, we must first understand the key players in this tragic tale. Colleen was remembered as a devoted mother willing to sacrifice anything for her children. After a bitter divorce, she raised her children largely on her own. Despite hardships, she pursued higher education to build a better future. Just 2 weeks before her death, she had started a new role with the health department after years in night shifts in cafes. She was at the peak of her academic and professional journey, proud and eager for what lay ahead. Colleen was also health conscious, determined to manage her well-being. She battled Hashimoto's disease, an autoimmune disorder affecting her thyroid, a difficult condition to control. Yet she remained generally healthy and was known for her enthusiasm for fitness. Now let's revisit her children. Fabian, her youngest, was a gentle soul working at the supermarket when tragedy struck. Julian, the eldest son, lived far from Perth at the time, with little information available about his role. Monique, the only daughter, had temporarily moved back home while training to become a paramedic. She had last seen her mother that very morning and recalled her as appearing perfectly fine. Finally, there was Andre, whose situation was more complex. To fully understand, we must also consider his ex-partner, Gracie Piscopo, who became entangled in this dark narrative. Gracie and Andre were a well-known influencer couple living just miles from Colleen's home in Perth. Gracie was a prominent social media figure and model, boasting over 1 million Instagram followers and a YouTube channel with more than 300,000 subscribers. Andre Rebello, meanwhile, was immersed in cryptocurrency trading. He fancied himself a crypto mastermind, someone who could predict market shifts and rake in 6-figure profits. Gracie Piscopo was and remains a prominent social media influencer and model. She was far from a typical aspiring model. Her presence commanded a vast and dedicated following. Her Instagram account attracted over 1 million followers, where she regularly shared modeling images and endorsements for various brands. Her YouTube channel also drew significant attention, amassing more than 300,000 subscribers. In stark contrast, Andre Rebello was deeply involved in cryptocurrency trading, yet little else occupied his time. He fancied himself a crypto mastermind, confident in his ability to predict market shifts and rake in 6-figure earnings with ease. The truth revealed a far darker reality. His skills were severely lacking. His trading record was dismal. He was consistently in the red, never turning a profit. Their story began when Andre met Gracie through her ex-boyfriend. Soon after, their interactions moved to Instagram, where they exchanged direct messages. By 2015, the pair had become an official couple. 5 years later, in 2020, they were married, living in Beaconsfield, and had a child together. It's important to note, Gracie carried the financial weight of their household as the primary breadwinner. Meanwhile, Andre tried to support her business efforts while dabbling in cryptocurrency on the side. Their lives were heavily documented online, revealing a carefully curated lifestyle they desperately wanted to maintain. A home tour from April 2020 displayed grand fireplace walls, oversized sofas, lavish decorations, and a pristine white Range Rover Evoque parked out front. Beyond Gracie's typical Instagram content, they produced videos featuring food mukbangs, travel vlogs, and family adventures. Through these clips, it was clear Gracie was the undeniable star with her son Romeo, often just a step behind her. Andre appeared in the videos too, but only in a supporting capacity. No content centered on him. He remained the behind-the-scenes manager, largely out of the spotlight. Yet between them, Andre and Gracie presented as a solid team. Together, they secured brand partnerships while Andre quietly chased his cryptocurrency ambitions in the background. Credit was due. Andre had even made a modest $20 profit from crypto at one point, a small but notable victory. However, Colleen Rebello harbored deep concerns about Andre's ventures, both in cryptocurrency and his social media efforts. Her doubts were valid. She questioned the sustainability of their lifestyle. What would happen when their time in the spotlight inevitably faded away? And if it was only a fleeting moment, why were they splurging on luxury items with such abandon? From an outsider's view, Gracie and Andre appeared to have it all. A sprawling home, a Range Rover Evoque, countless luxury possessions, and frequent holidays painted the picture of perfection. Every expense was paid monthly, leaving their financial situation dangerously unstable. Comparatively, Gracie held a more sensible position. She operated her own business and could generate income when necessary. But Andre's cryptocurrency investments were stagnant, contributing nothing to their cash flow. By May 2020, the couple's combined debt had ballooned beyond 120,000 Australian dollars. Then tragedy struck. Andre's mother passed away suddenly that same month. What began as a day filled with hope and anticipation quickly unraveled. Andre had planned to spend the day with Gracie and her visiting cousin. They intended to enjoy lunch together, and Gracie eagerly awaited the outing. But as the morning wore on, an unsettling shift took hold. Around noon, Andre vanished without explanation. No warning, no message. He simply disappeared. Initially baffled, Gracie hoped he had stepped out briefly, but as minutes stretched into hours, her concern deepened. Her attempts to reach him by text and phone calls met only silence. Andre had gone radio silent between 11 Haru and 11:10 a.m., and no one knew where he had gone. Gracie's worry quickly turned to frustration. Within 15 minutes, she had called him 12 times, desperate for any sign of response. By 11:16 a.m., her anger was palpable. She sent him a string of text messages demanding to know where he was and why he wasn't answering. As time passed with no reply, her messages grew more frantic, questioning if he even had his phone. Though maybe impatient, Gracie's fury was understandable. Andre still remained silent. Her texts escalated to pleading and anger, culminating in her declaring she was fuming at him. Hours dragged on, and Gracie's fury only deepened. She could not fathom why Andre would vanish without a trace, leaving her and her cousin waiting in the unknown. Then abruptly, around 2 p.m., Andre returned home as if nothing had happened. He entered casually, wearing a nonchalant expression, and asked where they wanted to go for lunch. Gracie was stunned by his calm demeanor. How could he act so normally after disappearing for hours? Though it wasn't unusual for Andre to leave his phone on silent, this time his carelessness felt especially blatant. Before leaving for lunch, Andre texted his mother asking if she could watch their grandson later that day or the next. He explained he had errands to run and wouldn't be able to care for the child. Yet much like Andre earlier, his mother failed to respond to any of his messages. It turned out he was not the only one met with silence that day. At the same moment, miles away in a quiet suburb, Fabian, the younger brother, was preparing to end his shift at the local supermarket. Though his shift lasted only 4 hours, in the world of customer service, it often stretches endlessly. That morning, Colleen had dropped Fabian off around 10:00 a.m., promising to return and pick him up 4 hours later. But when 2:00 p.m. came and went, there was no sign of her. Fabian frantically called her phone more than a dozen times, only to be met with silence. Text messages sent by him and his sister Monique also went unanswered. It was in that moment that they both realized something was terribly wrong. With a heavy heart weighed down by dread, Fabian rushed home only to grasp the gravity of the situation upon arrival. Inside the house, the sound of a running shower from the ensuite bathroom greeted him. But the grim conclusion was already inevitable. On May 25, 2020, Colleen was discovered dead in her own home. Though sudden and shocking, her death was initially not considered suspicious by authorities. The Rebello family was shattered by the devastating news of their mother's passing. No one stopped to question if maybe, just maybe, the cause was not natural. Doctors knew Colleen suffered from heart problems, so cardiac arrhythmia or even a brain aneurysm were plausible explanations. She also battled Hashimoto's disease, adding to the risk factors. Taking all this into account, the possibility of natural causes seemed likely. Police reported that all doors and windows were locked at the time of death, showing no evidence of forced entry. The autopsy failed to provide a definitive cause of death. Yet this ambiguity suggested she probably was not a victim of foul play. Her children unanimously dismissed the idea of suicide, noting Colleen had recently earned a master's degree and started a new job. She appeared joyful and showed no signs of depression. But soon Julian began to sense something unsettling about his brother Andre. Andre's behavior around their mother's death became increasingly strange and erratic. Julian stayed in Perth for several months after the funeral, managing Colleen's affairs. As he sifted through her paperwork, the first red flag appeared. Her driver's license was missing. When he questioned his siblings, Andre admitted to taking it and claimed to be handling their mother's affairs. This was unexpected, especially since Julian was the executor of the estate, not Andre. The situation grew stranger as Julian discovered Colleen held several life insurance policies he had never heard of. Unbeknownst to the siblings, Andre had secured 3 life insurance policies on their mother just 2 weeks before her death. While taking initiative might seem responsible, it was odd that Andre hadn't done the same for himself, his wife, child, or siblings. These policies collectively were worth over $1 million, and the timing was highly suspicious. Adding to the unease, all of Colleen's mail was now redirected to Andre's house, even though Monique and Fabian still lived at the family home. Why the sudden change in mail delivery? Furthermore, although the coroner's office initially contacted Julian, calls soon began going directly to Andre. The tragic death now felt like a calculated game, with Andre several steps ahead. The troubling clues kept mounting. Colleen's former psychologist reached out to Monique, alarmed that forged documents appeared to have been submitted to an insurance company in Colleen's name. Before the family could confront Andre, one insurance company noticed the inconsistencies and suspected fraud. They promptly alerted the Western Australia police. Police swiftly launched an investigation, and 5 months after Colleen's death, all 4 siblings were interviewed. Search warrants were executed not only at Colleen's home, but also at Gracie Piscopo's and Andre's residences. By nightfall, investigators were confident in their findings. So confident, in fact, that Andre was arrested on charges of fraud. Detectives uncovered that Andre had forged fake medical certificates, a false last will and testament, and even a fabricated coroner's report. On top of this, he had named himself the sole beneficiary of Colleen's entire estate. All her money and possessions were now legally his, excluding his brothers and sister. This ruthless betrayal devastated Monique, Fabian, and Julian, who were left shut out and suspicious. They were forced to confront a chilling question: had their own brother been involved in their mother's death? It is important to clarify that Gracie was never implicated in the fraud allegations and had no involvement whatsoever. This became painfully clear once detectives executed a search warrant and placed surveillance in their home. Listening devices were discreetly installed in Gracie's bedroom, and a camera was positioned in their living room, capturing every moment under watchful eyes. From September 9th to December 7th, law enforcement monitored these devices non-stop, gathering evidence around the clock. Despite uncovering multiple admissions of fraud from Andre Rebello, it was evident Gracie remained oblivious to the illicit activities captured on tape. Her voice betrayed shock and disappointment, questioning what had been done. She lamented the trouble they were in, unable to comprehend his actions. Gracie's words revealed her fears as a single mother, bewildered by the concept of insurance fraud and what his plan might be. Andre coldly admitted he never expected to be caught, but intended to collect the money and flee the country before facing jail. Over the next 2 years, Andre carried on as if nothing had happened, maintaining his relationship with Gracie and even sharing their lives publicly through vlogs and videos. Unbeknownst to him, time was slipping away and justice was closing in. In November 2022, after painstaking detective work, Andre Rebello was arrested and charged with the murder of his mother, Colleen Rebello. The prosecution's case was straightforward and damning. Andre and Gracie projected a glamorous life on social media, funded partly by sponsorships but also sustained by a web of credit cards and personal loans. Though Gracie earned her own income, Andre had deceived her about his cryptocurrency ventures. He claimed to be making substantial profits in crypto assets locked temporarily, but promising wealth soon. In reality, Andre had nothing, no funds, no assets. At the time of Colleen's death, their combined debts totaled $121,000, while their savings were nearly empty. The pressure Andre faced was immense. but it was born entirely from his own lies. He fabricated a false image of success, fueling Gracie's luxurious lifestyle. As a father and partner, he felt compelled to prove himself. This desperation drove him to a chilling plan. But the delay between her death and the homicide investigation cost the police vital surveillance footage. Still, a clear paper trail emerged, showing Andre's dealings with multiple insurance companies, one of which had been suspicious from the start. Each time the insurer raised doubts, Andre responded with forged documents, unwittingly sealing his own fate step by step. This included a fake will, forged medical reports, and even a counterfeit coroner's report, weaving a web of deception. He went so far as to use artificial intelligence to fabricate a voice message from his mother's psychologist. In court, Andre claimed Colleen was anxious about turning 60 and wanted life insurance to protect her children and grandchildren. The prosecution, however, argued this did not justify why all policies named Andre as sole beneficiary, excluding her 4 other children. Such an arrangement raised serious questions about his true intentions. Detective Sergeant Jason Hutchinson revealed critical digital evidence. Upon examining Andre's laptop, investigators found all internet activity between December 2019 and July 2020 had been wiped clean. Yet crucially, Andre neglected to delete Google searches made after Colleen's death, including queries about coroner's aneurysm, causes, document editing, and inquests. Digital forensics further showed Andre's cell phone pinged towers near Colleen's home at the estimated time of her death, placing him at the scene. Witnesses also reported seeing a white Land Rover Evoque outside the property around 1:30 p.m., matching Andre's vehicle. The timeline was stark. Colleen dropped Andre at a supermarket at 10:00 a.m. but failed to pick him up by 2:00 p.m. This 4-hour window marked the likely period of her death, with ample evidence suggesting Andre's presence. Gracie's testimony, call records, cell tower pings, and the sighting of Andre's vehicle all converged to place him at the scene. All of this unfolded just 1 week after Andre secured multiple life insurance policies on Colleen, naming himself sole beneficiary and fabricating documents to cover his tracks. While no direct video evidence of the murder existed, the circumstantial case against Andre was overwhelming, almost indisputable. Though Andre staged his mother's death to appear natural and acted with calculated caution, he made several critical errors that ultimately unraveled his story. Police photographs revealed Colleen's body lying outside the shower, still adorned with makeup and jewelry, including a gold watch. Such details contradicted any notion of a natural death, as she would never enter the shower wearing these items. The contradictions spoke volumes about the truth hidden beneath the surface. The unsettling detail was that Colleen still had her hair tied up untouched. The bath mat she routinely used in the shower remained carelessly draped over the tub as if nothing had disturbed the scene. This suggested that Andre Rebello had clumsily staged the scene, a fact hardly surprising given the evidence. One could easily see him as a blundering fool, lacking any subtlety. It was no shock then that Andre would deny all charges of murder. Yet in a chilling admission, he confessed to taking out 3 life insurance policies in Colleen's name and forging documents to access one payout. His defense painted alternative scenarios for Colleen's death, suggesting cardiac arrhythmia or a brain aneurysm could have been responsible. The coroner's failure to pinpoint an exact cause only complicated the case, forcing it to lean heavily on circumstantial evidence. With a possible life sentence looming, the courtroom was thick with tension, everyone aware of the gravity of the moment. As is common in such trials, the stakes were monumental, and anticipation hung heavy as the jury prepared to deliver their verdict. Deliberations commenced on December 3, 2024. Only 2 days later, the jury returned with a unanimous decision. Andre Rebello was found guilty of murdering his mother. The verdict meant a likely life sentence without parole awaited Andre Rebello. Present in court, his father, Antonio, appeared deeply saddened by the outcome. In stark contrast, Andre showed almost no emotion as the verdict was read aloud. With the trial concluded, sentencing was scheduled for April 2025. Notably, Gracie Piscopo remained oblivious to Andre's sinister plans. She had no knowledge of the insurance payout, the beneficiary changes, the murder itself, or the policies in question. To put it bluntly, Gracie was merely the partner of a reckless man intent on deception. Andre's actions shattered more than just the lives of Colleen and their siblings. He also robbed Gracie of her first marriage and denied her child an innocent biological father. The media's harsh scrutiny weighed heavily on Gracie, who likely suffers nearly as much as the rest of the Rebello family. In recent years, Gracie has found a new partner, one who loves both her and her son. There is hope he will bring the calm and stability she desperately needs. Finally, we must remember Colleen Rebello. She was a remarkable woman devoted to her family above all else. Despite the hardships of single parenthood, she earned a university degree to build a better future for her children and grandchildren. Her commitment to self-improvement spanned family health, education, and career. Her sudden tragic death devastated those who loved her, but her legacy as a caring mother and dedicated professional endures. All told, Andre Rebello comes across as nothing more than a complete fool. This case serves as a stark reminder that influencers often mask their true selves behind glossy online facades. The next time you unfairly compare yourself to such figures, remember this truth. Chances are you are far happier than they are in reality. Though centered on circumstantial evidence, the case against Andre was strong and compelling. So the question remains, was it enough? Did Andre Rebello murder his mother? Was the evidence sufficient to convict him? I invite you to share your thoughts and theories in the comments below. That brings today's story to a close. Thank you for watching. I will see you soon for another deep dive into true crime. Until then, take care of yourselves, watch out for one another, and above all, stay safe. Thank you and goodbye.